Hello boys and girls, good afternoon and welcome to Critical English for grade 7 to 8. Hello Shamar and hello Akila, welcome back. And today we're continuing of course with the prepositional phrase. So let's recap what we did last class. So Akila, you weren't here, so we're going to recap so as to bring you up to speed, yes? Good. So the last class we looked at three things, Shamar. We looked at what is a phrase, and then we looked at
Prepositional phrase.
what is a prepositional phrase, and this takes a three-part something, yeah. And then we looked at the first function, yes, of prepositional phrase, yes. So let's briefly recap. Shamar, what's a phrase?
A phrase is a group of words that does not completely express itself.
And it can act as something.
Or it can act as a...
What does this come under? Preposition, adverbs. Kilo, you want to try? No, yeah, kilo, yes. As a part of speech, yes? So it does not express a complete thought, or it cannot stand alone as a sentence, but it can stand as a part of speech. And we talk about prepositional phrase, and we said that prepositional phrase consists of three things. Group of words, it consists of three things. What are those things?
The preposition.
Preposition, So I'll put them over here. Yeah, preposition. Anything else?
I remember the thing with the modifier and
Modifier, yes, modifier.
object of the preposition.
And object of the preposition. All right, and we looked at the first function, and the first function was what? The prepositional phrase doing what? Prepositional phrase acting as an adjective. Prepositional phrase functioning as an adjective. Remembering now?
Yeah.
Adjective to do what? Modify. What do adjectives do?
Describe the noun.
Modify the noun. All right, so that's what we did. Let's look at an example, of course, from last week, and then we're gonna move on to the next one. Do you mean the boy in the corner? And of course, let's go. So can we identify the prepositional phrase, Akila?
In.
Phrase, prepositional phrase, yes. So the prepositional phrase always begins with a preposition.
In the corner?
Yes, so in the corner is the prepositional phrase, and let's identify the elements of the prepositional phrase now. So it must have what?
Preposition.
What's the preposition here?
In.
And it must have a modifier.
The
Modifier, and object of the preposition would be the corner, so the object. All right, so this, we've identified the prepositional phrase, yes, but the prepositional phrase in this sentence is functioning as an adjective, and adjectives do what? Give more meaning or tells us more about the noun or the pronoun. Now, do you mean the boy? Which boy? Any boy? Which boy? Shamar?
The boy in the corner.
Right? So this question is telling, this answer is telling us more about this noun, isn't that so? So this phrase is modifying the noun, the boy. So see how, although it's a prepositional phrase, it is functioning as an adjective to modify the noun. All right? And we've got to be able to make those distinctions, because we're going to come to talk about adjectival phrase, and we've got to be able to make the distinction. What is different from the adjectival phrase as against a prepositional phrase functioning as an adjective? All right? Good. So let's move on to what we're looking at. So I'm going to take this off. This is the purpose of this was for provisional purpose. And we're going to take this off, and we're going to look at the second function of the prepositional phrase. So it's not difficult, really, but it's just that we have got to take it in little bits to be able to remember and put it into practice. Yes? So number 2 says that we're looking at the prepositional phrase. Prepositional phrase functioning as adverbs. And what do adverbs do? What do adverbs do? That modify. What do you think adverbs modify? Verbs. All right, so this is the second function. So this prepositional phrase can also function as an adverb that modify verbs. Right? Let's look at an example. Let's look at the example. I live near the stadium. All right. Do we see the prepositional phrase anywhere? Could we identify the prepositional phrase?
Near the stadium.
Near the stadium. Good job, Akila. So near the stadium, of course, and let's break it down into the elements, or the elements, of course. Elements, property of the prepositional phrase. What are we looking for?
Preposition.
Preposition. Where's the preposition?
Near.
Near. What is there?
Modifier.
And what is stadium?
Object.
Object of the preposition. Yes? Where? Near. Near what?
The stadium.
The stadium. All right? Good. So, what is the function of this prepositional phrase now? It says, what the sentence says, I live. And what is live? What is this? What part of speech?
Verb.
Yes, it's a verb, right? It's an action. I live here, right? So it's a verb. And we're looking to see how this adjective can modify the verb. Isn't that so? Does near the stadium tell us anything about the verb live?
No.
No? So where do I live? Does it tell us anything about where I live?
Yes.
What does it tell us? Exactly where we live, which is where? Near the stadium. And this is what the adverbs do, is not so? They tell us more about the verb. I walk quickly. How did I walk? Quickly. So adverbs are usually, and I think I keep saying to you to go back and to review your part of speech. Adverbs have adverbs of time, manner, place, and this is place, isn't this so? Isn't that so? Place, it's telling us where, right? Near the stadium. Where do I live? near the stadium. So in this case, the function of the prepositional phrase is to tell us more about this verb. So it's acting as an adverb that modifies the verb. Clear?
Yes.
Any confusion? We sure?
Yes.
All right, let me see how much you've learned. Good. So your exercise will be she speaks with notable enthusiasm. Enthusiasm. All right. So, of course, we've got to look for the prepositional phrase first. Identify the properties or the components of the prepositional phrase. Look to see if there is a verb and tell us what the prepositional phrase is doing for that verb. Yes? All right. So, I'll give you a minute. All right, are we finished? All right, good. Akila, tell us what to do. I'm working out today, yeah? So tell us what to do.
First, identify the preposition,
Prepositional, what?
the modifier, and the object.
Okay, so we've got to identify something before we're able to do that.
Verbs.
I know. What are we doing?
Adverbs.
Topic.
Prepositional phrase.
All right, so we've got to identify first of all the prepositional phrase. How do we do that? We look for the phrase that begins with the
Preposition.
Okay, so do you see any phrase that begins with a preposition? All right, tell me what that phrase is.
With.
With?
No,
Just with?
No, with notable enthusiasm.
With notable enthusiasm. And now we can look to see whether it qualifies, yes? And in some phrases, Akila, we will not necessarily have modifiers, all right? So that's okay. This one is correct. That's all right. But in some cases, you will not have modifiers, and that's fine. Okay? So this could have very well be, she speaks with enthusiasm, and it would have still been a phrase. All right? Because it has, of course, the preposition and the object of the preposition. With what? Enthusiasm. All right? So we have what? Preposition, the modifier, because it's telling us what sort of enthusiasm, yeah? Notable enthusiasm and object. All right? Now, what is this prepositional phrase doing?
Describing how she speaks.
It's describing how she speaks. So describing, or is it describing? We move to adjectives. Yeah? So it's modifying the verb speak. Isn't that so? In the sense that it's telling us how exactly, and that's another type of adverb, isn't that so? So we've got adverb of place, and this one here is adverb of what?
Speech.
No. Adverb of manner, how. All right. So there's adverb of place. I was about to say speech. Adverb of place, time, manner, degree, and frequency. All right. So those are our adverbs. So go home and do some brushing up on your adverbs. So remember, initially I said to you, the backbone of the language is part of speech. Right? You've got to know them, and there are quite a number of them, and perhaps we don't take time enough, but if we don't pay attention to them, they can really affect our writing, all right, in terms and our understanding of the language, being able to break down these little things. Yes? So of course it's modifying the verb speak, and speaks is the verb, and it's telling us how, the manner in which she speaks with notable enthusiasm. All right? So in this case, although it's a prepositional phrase, it is acting as a adverb because it is modifying the verb speaks. All right? Are we clear?
Yes.
All right. Good. So we can move on to the remaining two. Let's see if we can complete those. Are you finished? Can I take this off? Okay. It's probably a very good thing, that the presentation didn't get sore. I feel like we're making more progress. Shamar, what do you think? Using the board.
Yes,
And and being able to sort of do it and write it and identify and everything. As against if we had it on the system, yeah? All right, so the next one we're going to look at is now prepositional phrase as adjectives alone. All right? So number 3, prepositional phrases as adjectives. Now, how do you think this works? So let's look at an example. So example, please buy the scarf with dots. So do we see anything?
I don't understand what you mean with dots.
The scarf with dots. Fashion, Shamar. Keep up with the fashion. So do we see any prepositional phrase here?
The scarf with dots.
The scarf?
With dots.
With dots. So with dots is the prepositional phrase, yes. But it says that it's acting as what? An adjective. And what do adjectives do?
Describe.
They describe what?
The noun.
The noun. So we could have very well said what? With the dotted scarf, yeah? Isn't that so? It could have very well be, and we could have put it here, the dotted scarf, and the sentence would have ended, isn't that so? But we went on to have with dots, making it, of course, a prepositional phrase, but this time it is acting as a adjective to describe the noun. Tell us more about the noun. And one of the things that separates the adjectives modifying the noun is the modifier. See that we don't have a modifier here?
Yes, sir.
Do we see that? No, but not necessarily without the modifier. But it is not, we could have done this. Yes? We could have done the dotted scarf and save ourselves without having this phrase to the back. with dots. What kind of scarf? With dots. And if we ask, if we are to take away, moving on, take away and say, Akila, please buy the scarf with dot. What are you going to go look for?
A scarf with dots.
Yes, so it's very specific, isn't that so? Right? All right, good. So let's do an example and see how we're going to do it. So exercise. Give me one of the brown ones. All right, are we done? Yes? No? It's a little bit more complex? Kind of? All right, good. What do we have? Are we able to identify the prepositional first?
The brown ones? The brown ones?
The brown ones? Something is missing.
One of the brown ones?
One of the brown ones? No. So it means therefore we got to do some revision on preposition, yeah? So of the brown ones, right? Remember. Good. So of course preposition, brown ones, object, modifier. Good. Let's talk about what this phrase is doing. Give me one. What one are we talking about here?
One brown one.
One in this case, give me one. One is talking about what kind? Give me one. What part of speech would you consider one as? A noun? What do we call those parts of speech that takes the place of nouns?
Pronoun.
One of what? The brown ones, isn't that so? So in this case, it's functioning as a pronoun. Yeah? One of the brown ones. So we've got to do some revision on our pronouns, on our part of speech generally. Right? Yes? Good. So give me one of the brown ones. So we're talking about ones, all right? And they're taking, of course, this one is taking the place of brown ones. It's telling us it's a pronoun. So one of the brown ones is telling us which one, right? Give me one of the brown ones, being very specific, all right? Of the brown ones. So I come to you and you have some, let's say you have some cookies, yeah? And they're different colors. Let's say they have yellow and you have brown and you have green, and I come in and say, give me one.
There's a food coloring right there as I want to eat it.
Is it? You will need cookies that have colors.
What is food coloring?
Yes, well, I assume it would be food coloring. What else would you put the color cookies, Shamar?
Could be poison.
Oh, okay. Why would people put poison in cookies? All right, so give me one of the brown ones. One of the brown ones is very specific. It's telling you which one you have to go to specifically. Isn't that so? The brown ones, yes? And so one, of course, is a pronoun in this sentence, and this preposition, now phrase, is an adjective that's telling us more about this pronoun. All right? And so it allows us to be able to go directly and pick out one of the brown ones. Yes? All right. So we're going to wrap up for today because we are out of time. Our technical people just said 5 minutes. So let's see if we can get through adverbs quickly. As adverbs. So the last one here. And we're moving on to prepositional as adverbs. Okay? Example. Lee raised his mackerel. With utmost pride. All right. Any prepositional phrase here? With utmost pride. Yes? What is it doing? In this sentence, what is it functioning as? Let's read the sentence. Lee raised his mackerel with utmost pride. With utmost pride is doing what?
Action.
Not necessarily. It's telling us about the action. What action?
Raise his mackerel.
Raise. So this is our verb, and the part that describes or modifies the verb is called an
adverb.
Yes, an adverb. So how did he raise his mackerel? With utmost pride. And we could have written the sentence differently, where we could have said he proudly raised. Isn't that so? Lee proudly raised his mackerel. But instead, we went on to use a phrase that tells us more about the verb, how he raised it, the manner, right? And so therefore it qualifies as an adverb. It's functioning as an adverb in this sentence. Understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Am I confusing you folks? No? Making sense? All right, let's try an example and then we could wrap up. Dawn is tired from the hike. right. Let's try to do this one together. Dawn is tired from the hike. Any prepositional phrase?
From the hike.
From the hike, yes. And what is from the hike doing in this phrase? In this sentence?
Telling why he is tired.
It is telling us why she is tired.
She.
Dawn. Dawn is, I assume, well, the Dawns that I know are women, yeah? I don't know any man Dawn. Do you know man Dawn, Shamar? All right. So, from the hike is telling us the reason, and so this is an adverb of reason. It's telling us why Dawn is tired. Okay? Dawn is tired from the hike. So adverb of reason to modify, to tell us more about the verb is tired. Why Dawn is tired. Okay? And of course we're talking about phrase functioning as a part of speech, and in this case it's functioning as an adverb. So that's all the time we have for today. For this week we've looked at prepositional phrase. Let's recap what we did. We looked at what a phrase is. We looked at prepositional phrase and what prepositional phrase include, which are
Preposition. Object of the preposition. And modifiers.
And modifiers in some cases. And then we went on to look at the function, and we said that a prepositional phrase can function in 4 ways. What are those 4 ways? 1,
Prepositional phrase as an adverb.
as an adverb. Yes, Akila. So Akila picked the one that we did last, yes. And what we did before that? Prepositional phrase as an adjective. Prepositional phrase as an adverb that modifies a verb. And then prepositional phrase as a adjective that modifies a noun. And one of the things that we must remember is, of course, that a prepositional phrase always begins with a preposition, and it must have these components: preposition and object of the preposition. And because it is a prepositional phrase, sometimes they can function in different capacity. All right? And once we understand how they can function, when we come to look at the other types of phrase, we'll be able to make that distinction between an adverbial phrase and a prepositional phrase functioning as an adverb, which are 2 different things. All right? So thank you very much for your time, Akila, and welcome back. Enjoyed your company this afternoon. Thank you, Shamar, for always being with us. Thank you for those who are viewing in public. Please stay tuned for math, and I will see you next Wednesday.
Good afternoon, students, and welcome to Critical Mathematics for this afternoon. I hope that you enjoy your English. Well, now we will go straight into a recap game for what we would have done at the last class. Could you recall what topic we did?
Measurement.
Measurement, and on the measurement we had subtopic with
Perimeter and area.
perimeter and area. Oh, and welcome, Akila. So our session is back again. We really and truly missed you. So let's go to our screen. And Shamar, you're team 1. Akila, you're team 2. So you'll pick a question and then we'll try to answer the question. I hope it will be visible enough for you to see the question. Please record your scores as we go along. We will not answer all. We'll just answer a few. So we would not be doing the 14 questions. So Shamara, let's go.
Number 1.
Number 1. Okay. Can you see it enough?
Yes, miss.
All right, read.
Find the perimeter. Joe's backyard looks like this. 7 feet, 12 feet, and 15 feet. He wants to put a fence around the yard. How much fencing does he need? Let me see. It's tired. Thirty
30?
feet.
30 feet, okay. But you know, next time you could have scrapped it quickly, right? So your calculation would be a little faster. All right, so let's see. So would you want to calculate it over?
Didn't count the tree.
You didn't count the tree. Yes, because even when you call the numbers, you'd missed out the tree also. Right, so be careful, because remember, why you needed to count the tree too?
So I could get the total.
Total what?
Total distance around.
The total distance around. You can't miss any of the sides. Right, so Kilo, you agree with the answer, see? You didn't calculate it. Ha! Got you there. Alright, let's go. Tree. Alright. Ha! Well, look, you just got 25 points. You just lost 25 points. Who got it points? You or Shamar?
Shamar.
Sure. Shamar, do you agree that you got a point?
I lose 25 points.
Pardon me?
I lose 25 points.
Exactly. So you actually got his 15 points because he didn't have 25. All right. So Shamar, back to you.
5.
So what happening there?
I guess you have to swap points back.
So right, so you get back your points for the effort that she didn't do anything for. Yes, Akira. 6. All right, let's zoom in a little. You want to read?
All?
No, you read a question and then you choose your answer.
Describes perimeter. Mr. Lopez is planning to put a bulletin board in her classroom. Which measurement describes the perimeter of her bulletin board?
Shamar, you got the answer.
Oh, really?
A, B, C, or D?
Here.
Pardon me? What would be your choice? The length of the border she will need for the bulletin board, the number of posters she can hang on the bulletin board, the number of paper she will need to cover the bulletin board, or the length of the bulletin board multiplied by the width of the bulletin board. A, B, C, or D?
A.
A? Accent or you're telling?
Both.
You're supposed to be telling me the answer, not accent. So A? A, positive? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yes.
Yes, A. Shamar, do you agree with her?
I'll probably go with C.
You could probably go with C. Because remember, C, yes, C is the amount of paper to cover. And if we're talking about covering the board, what aspect we're talking about there, Shamara?
The surface of the board.
And that will be what?
The area.
Exactly. Good. So let's get one more, Shamar.
10.
10. Zoom in. No, zoom out back. Okay.
This is a drawing of a quadrilateral with a perimeter of 40 centimeters. See, write an equation that can be used to find the length of side A.
So first of all, ask yourself what really they're talking. What information they would have given to you.
The total
Of the
distance.
The distance around, and that is called
Perimeter.
good. So they would have given you the perimeter, the total of all of the distance around. And what are the distance around?
11 cm, 18 cm, and 7 cm.
Only?
On the missing side, 8.
Good. So if you were to put all of that together, what would be your final answer to make an equation?
Find the missing side A.
Okay, but did they ask you to find the missing side?
Write an equation that can be used to find the length of side A.
Did they ask for the missing side? For you to find it?
Yes.
Write an equation that can be used to find the length of the missing side. Did they ask you for the length of the missing side?
They asked to find it.
No. Write an equation that can be used to find the missing side. Are they asking you to find the missing side?
No.
No, they didn't. They're just asking you to write the equation that you would use to find for the missing side. So if you have to write an equation for the perimeter, what would be your final answer? If you want, you can write it down quickly. Akila, you do too. So what would be your final answer?
To find the total distance, we'll have to add the
Okay, add it up and let's see. Pardon? How much?
So the total for A would be 4 cm.
No, I don't want what A is. I just want to know what,
Equation?
yes, the equation before you find for A.
So 18 cm plus 7 cm plus 11 cm, which will equal to 36 cm. And 40 minus 36 cm.
Oh, no, don't go to that. Just the 36 you said? 36 cm and what else? According to the length. Because remember 36 would have only be 3 parts. So you'll have the 36. Shamar, you want to, since it's your question actually, you want to finish it off? The equation B would be?
11 cm plus 18 cm plus 7 cm.
Giving you a total of?
The given side will give you a total of 36. And then you will have to...
Remember equation, something equal to something. So when we add up the perimeter, we will get 40. So what we adding up? We adding up the numbers and the letters. So we'll have 36 and what? All right, let's look at the answer. Remember, it's an equation, you have to show both sides, right? And it has an unknown. That's what qualified it. So your answer, your final answer could have been 36 plus A equal to 40. Right? Akila, your answer, your question.
How did you get 15?
How did you get?
How did you get 15? Who did you work playing?
What question was it? Okay, what number?
Which number you picked? 10?
10?
10.
How did you got what?
How did you got more points if you didn't actually get the answer?
Oh no, don't worry about that. We didn't focus on that. Okay.
7.
7. Okay. Getting a lot of multiple choice. Really? Ezekiel?
Has 2 different sized rectangular pieces of wood. Piece 1 is shown. Piece 2 is 12 centimeters long and 1 centimeter wide. The perimeter of piece 1 is how many centimeters shorter than perimeter 2 of piece 2?
So piece 1 is shown. And piece 1 dimension is?
Rectangular.
No, the dimension of it, the length. It's shown, it's, what is the dimension of the length? One side.
4 centimeters.
4, it's there. Good. So we have piece 2 is 12 centimeters longer and 1 centimeter in width. So, how longer? So first of all, you need to know the perimeter of piece 1. Alright? And then you need to know the perimeter of piece 2. Agree? To calculate how longer they will be. Right? But that will take us a little time right now to do all of that calculation. And remember, this is just a recap piece. So, give an answer from calculation would be 10 cm longer. Right? But as I said, you needed to find the perimeter of piece 1. Find the perimeter of piece 2. And the difference now will tell you how longer it is. Right? Alright, good. So, let's bounce from that screen, bounce to another screen. Good. So, as it is, as we went through measurement, and we did the perimeter area of composite or compound shapes, we went through all of that. We would have identified how to find the perimeter by adding all the distance around. If there was a missing side, what do we do, Shamar? If there was a missing side, do we calculate the perimeter without that side? No, we must find it by matching it probably to a parallel line or something vertically opposite to it, right? So we did that, and we went through some of the things that we would have learned about perimeter. Okay, so let's continue looking at this. now that we know that on a composite shape, Shamar, quickly, tell me something about a composite shape.
What the composite shape?
Uh-huh.
Composite shapes are irregular shapes.
And tell me a little more, not just irregular. What about the irregularity of it?
They're different shapes.
They comprise of different shapes, right? So we would have done rectangles and square the last session. So we have here, we have some, just putting the formulas together. We have the area of the rectangle that we used already. We might say base by height or length by width. We have the area of triangle, and I'm giving you this formula so that we can answer the question. Half base by height. We have the area of the circle, which we did that in a previous session when we did the area of circle. We have the area of the parallelogram. We did the shapes of the parallelogram, which is base by height. The area of the circle is pi r square. Area of the parallelogram is base by height. We have the area of the trapezoid. What is another name for that one?
Trapezoid.
Yes. Aquila, you know the name for the other, for another name for trapezoid? A shape?
Does it start with a Q?
No, trapezium. So normally we would normally see trapezium, right? So those are the areas that we have there in formula. When you finish taking the formula, just say I. And when we're going through the composite shape, what is one of the things we need to do first?
Identify the shape.
Identify the shapes so that we know what shapes we are working with, the area of what shapes we have to find, and then what do?
We use the formulas of shapes.
And when we finish calculating those areas by the use of the formula, what do? When we found all the areas for the different shapes that would have made up the composite shape, what do we do with the answers for those areas?
You multiply them?
No.
Add them together?
We add them together. We add them together to find the total area. We have all the formulas there? We there?
Yes.
Okay, right. So let's look at this one here. Area of a composite shape. So what are the shapes you're seeing? Or you can recognize easily?
Rectangle.
A part of a rectangle, kind of, and
A circle.
a circle. So to find the area, we need both the area of a rectangle and the area of a circle. Agree?
Yes.
So we can put that together. We can say the area of a rectangle plus the area of a circle. But in reality, because we just want the outer part of the shape, we actually cannot use the part inside. If you look at the part, the half of the circle that is inside the rectangle, right? That is already in the rectangle. So that is like resting on the rectangle. So if we know the size of the rectangle, we don't need the size of that part of the circle. We just need the extended part. You understand?
Yeah.
Sure? So this part comes in here. So this is already in the rectangle, right? So the rectangle actually accounts for this part of the circle. So the shape actually is comprised of this part here. So this part is already accounted for on the rectangle, right? So if we're looking for the area of the shape, we're looking for this entire area. So that means, do we need a whole circle? No, we don't need a whole circle. So that is why we have area. The rectangle is length by width, or we can use breadth by height, plus the area of a circle is pi r square, but we only need half of a circle. So we can say half pi r square, right? So the length according to the diagram we have is 10, and the width, or even if you want to say the height as it is shown, is 4. So we multiply 10 by 4, we will get our 40. And where we have half pi, we know that the radius is half of the diameter. The diameter, the line that runs down the middle of the circle, that cuts the circle in half, this is the diameter. So our radius would be half of it. And if the length of the diagram is, if this is 4 cm, yes, where's my screen?
4 feet.
4 feet, sorry. Yes, if the length of the diagram is 4, or the width is 4, then we need half of 4 to find the radius. Insert it into the formula where you have 2 square. When you square the 2, you get 4. 10 by 4 is 40, so we have 40 plus half pi 4. We know what pi is. Can anybody recall what pi is equal to?
24 over 7. 22
Ah.
over 7.
Well, I know, Sahar, you're very close. Yes, 22 over 7, or we went through that working to show how we got 22 over 7, or 3.14 or 3.142, right? So if you insert that into pi, you will get your calculation as 40 plus 1.57 multiplied by 4. Multiply 1.57 by 4, you get 6.28, add it, and you would have got, calculate your total surface area of that composite shape, right? So what are the things we needed to identify before we start anything with the composite shape?
The types of shapes.
Types of shapes, and according to this one we have to recognize too also, especially with the circles or any shape, if it is lapped over on another shape and you want the total area, you have to identify where the lap is to know if you need half the shape, quarter the shape, 1/3 of the shape, or whatever, right? But it will be visible enough for you to identify, right? So we okay there?
Yes, miss.
All right, we know when we have to do our question. Let's go to another one. What are the shapes we're seeing?
Is square
A square
and half of a circle.
and half of a circle, but is it a square? Is it a square, Kayla?
No.
Why? What we know about a square? What are the properties of a square? One of the properties of a square.
Has all 4 sides are equal.
Thank you.
Right angle.
Yes. So that shape there has all 4 sides equal?
No.
No, we have 25 and 20, right? So we don't have the sides equal. So what shape we have there? It's not a square, it is a
Rectangle.
rectangle. So we have a rectangle and half of a circle, as Shamar would have identified, and that is exactly what I was trying to show you when we were doing the other question. So we want the area of half of a circle using pi r square. So remember I said to you also that pi can be represented by 3.14. So we have 3.14 multiplied by 12.5. 12.5 is the radius given, right? Now, it would have been placed outside and it should have been placed inside so that you'd be easy to recognize that, right? So just consider that, and you have to divide that by half. So when we do your calculation, you get 245.3. Find the area of the rectangle, multiply length by width or length by breadth or base by height. You will get 25 by 20. That will give you 500. And to get the total area, we put both together, add it up, and we will get our final answer. Right? So this is just a little thing of showing you, because we did it already, just a recap. So I will give you your diagram that you need. Let's go to board. With a little twist in it. Good. You recognize the twist in it? What is the twist in this compound shape? You know, normally we have the shapes put together on the external and attached onto each other.
Yeah.
What is happening with the shapes here?
They're inside.
They're inside of each other. And what does this part mean?
That's one distance.
Okay, this is the solid part of the shape. This here is hollow. So that means we don't want the areas of this part. So the ones that we were looking at, the areas, we had to add them together because they were attached to each other. So if the areas now, the diagram that we're looking at is inside, and we don't want it, what do you think we have to do? When it was outside and attached, the cover attached to the pen, we added. When it is inside now, when the shape is inside the other, what do you think we should do, because we don't want it?
Subtract.
We need to subtract. But we still have to find the regular area of the shapes and then subtract. What are the shapes we're dealing with? Quickly.
Circle.
We have a circle. So what is the main shape?
The triangle.
The main one?
The square.
Is it a square? Is this a square?
Rectangle.
Rectangle. So we have area of a rectangle. And we're minusing now the smaller ones. What's the other shape?
Circle.
Area of a circle. plus, because it's in a bracket, area of
triangle.
triangle. Good. So the area of a rectangle is length by width minus area of a circle pi r square plus area of a triangle.
Half.
Thank you. Half base by
Height.
height. Great. Good. What's the length of this shape? What's the length and the width?
5.
5 alone?
5 and 6 meters.
5 times 6 meters. We put in the meter. Oh, we put the meter in half. Pi. Let's use pi as pi for now. And r is what?
Radius.
How much?
2 meters.
2 square plus half. Base is
2 meters.
2. And height is
3 meters.
3. So let's go. 5, 6,
30.
30. Great. So we keep our pi for now. When we raising this to the second power, what would we get?
8.
2 to the second power?
4.
4. Half of 2 3s?
6.
6. Good. So we have 30 minus pi. Let's use 3.14 by 4 plus half of 6. 3. Great. So we don't have a calculator, but let's calculate it quickly. 3.14 by 4. 4 4s? 16. 4 1s?
4.
70.
4 1s?
Oh, 4.
Plus 1?
7.
Plus 1 is?
5.
5. 4 3s?
12.
12. So we know we have 30 minus 12.56 plus 3. If we add 3 here, what would we get? Oops. Should we add here? Should we put a 3 here? At the back under the decimal? No. We need to put it here. So if we add 3, we will get 15.56, right? Now we have to minus 1230 minus 15.56. Let's do that quickly. 30 minus 15.56. What do I put up here?
0.
Zeros. Subtract for me.
So we have to borrow.
We borrowing now. Where are we borrowing from?
30.
We have to borrow till from here. So we actually borrowing 10, not 1. We actually borrowing 10. So we borrowing 10 here. So that's how we actually got our 10. If we borrow that, we need to borrow from here also, leaving us with 9 to give here. Then we need to borrow from here, leaving that to give there. 10 minus 6?
4.
4. 9 minus 5?
4.
9 minus 5?
4.
Oops. 2 minus 1?
1.
Might sound like you said 4 again. 1? Good. So this is actually our answer from using a compound shape with the shapes inside of each of a particular shape. So when the shape is on the outside, attached to, when the shapes are attached, you add the areas. When the shapes are inside and part shaded and part not shaded, meaning it's hollow, that means you have to subtract. So it's like if I want to take this out and make a hole in the shape, and I want to take this part out and make a triangular section in the shape, right? So you find the areas normal and you subtract. All right, this was a lot in one breath. Do you agree?
Yes.
Yes, it was a lot. Right? And we can also do it separate, but we just compact it as it is a compact shape. That is what we did. So what you're going to do, because we're closing, we're ending actually now, right? From what you would have done with the compound shape, both external and internal. You will take a copy of this even when we are finished, so that you can see if you can actually go examine it back and see if you could actually follow it again in that step, right? And you will say something to me when we return for the other session, if you could follow it that way, or you want it to be loose, expanded, separated, and then put back together, right? So have a blessed afternoon, have a blessed evening, have a blessed weekend, and see you next week for Critical Maths and Critical English. Do enjoy, but take care note.